Hey guys, hope you're having a great day. Yo, buddy Tim back with another video. And in this video, we are going to look at a trend that is happening nationally, and that is this: buyers backing out of contracts to buy homes. We've hit some record numbers according to Redfin, and that's what we're going to talk about in this video. Hey, before we do get started though, I want to ask you a favor, if you don't mind. If you like what we do here on the channel, click that little subscribe button wherever it happens to be. Click, give us a thumbs up, click the bell notification icon. That way you will never miss another video, and God forbid you miss these videos, because they are an entertainment value. And they're free. So anyway, also don't forget, if you are looking at moving to North Alabama and you'd like the help of the fastest growing little real estate company in town, that is us, Revolved Realty. 85 agents now ready to go to work for you to help you find the perfect home, and hopefully one that you do not ever feel the need to back out of the contract on. Okay, so let's talk about that. According to Redfin, this is a new article that just came out. 60,000 home purchases nationwide were canceled in the month of June. Now, that is 14.9% of all homes under contract, so it's a large number. And not all homes that were canceled went under contract in June. Some went under contract previously, but June just kind of set the pace. We haven't seen numbers like this since pre-pandemic. So I want to talk about, number one, why people are backing out of the contracts. Number two, if you are a buyer and seller, what you can do if you are presented with this situation. And finally, just advice across the board to help you make the right decision that you are not going to regret in the future. Okay, so let's look at first, why are so many people backing out of contracts? Well, I think there's a number of reasons. Number one, of course, is cold feet. They've signed a contract, they are committed to spend this money on a home, and in some cases they lie awake at night, they think about it, and then they get cold feet. Typically cold feet happens quickly though. We've had that happen. Had clients that went under contract one day and they called us the next morning and said, hey, I slept on it and I just can't do this. So, but a lot of feet don't get cold until they're well within the process. We've seen this happen as well, especially new construction buyers. They get partially through the process and decide for whatever reason that they just don't want the house. Maybe, again, they are getting cold feet. Maybe they are feeling that now that they've thought about it, maybe they think they're overpaying or whatever. There's a lot of reasons why your mind starts that process and your feet get cold. So I think cold feet just across the board is normal. We see that a lot, but it is a contributing factor. Other people are wanting to back out now because, boy, the market is kind of slowing down a little bit. They think they can get a better deal somewhere else. And so they are trying to get out of the contract because, hey, maybe now that the market has softened a little bit, they'll be able to buy this house over here rather than buying what they're committed to buy. And that's the key word here. If you sign a contract, guys, you are committed to buy. You have signed a legally binding document, and we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. Other reasons folks are backing out, well, I think by and large it's just fear and uncertainty about what's happening in our world. The world's a scary place right now, guys. I mean, all you have to do is turn on the TV and you see what's going on all over the world. You see what's going on here at home. You see our economy. You see property values that are going a little softer. You see homes staying on the market more, but mainly you see interest rates rising. So a lot of buyers are just feeling that fear and uncertainty that we don't know what's going to happen. We don't. We never have, but we've made it this far. So it should be okay, we hope. But yeah, there is just that fear and uncertainty. They might have also had a change in their personal situation, maybe a job change, maybe their marriage is not working out, what have you. I think those are they're in the minority of the folks that are backing out. I think that the majority of folks are, again, either getting cold feet. They're letting what's going on in the world kind of put a little bit of fear in them. And then, of course, they may just be regretting that they've put in an offer to buy this house. I've said it on a lot of videos now. I think that given the last year or so, with this crazy market, a lot of folks have bought homes that they regret buying. They buy them out of desperation. They buy them out of, FOMO, fear of missing out. And they just wake up one day and regret the decision to buy the home. We've had clients that didn't back out, but they would go through with the transaction and then immediately tell us to list the home because they don't want it. Not a really good thing to do if you're hoping to make money. But again, it is just, I think, the desperation buying. I think we're going to see a lot of that coming up over the next year or so from a realtor standpoint. I think I'm going to get phone calls from folks who say, we were desperate, we bought because we didn't want to miss out, we've lived here, now we hate it, get us out of here. So there are a number of reasons why folks back out of a deal. Now, here's the thing that you have to keep in mind. When you sign a contract to purchase a home, regardless of whether it's new construction, existing, whatever, that is a legally binding agreement. All right, you have signed a contract which commits you to do the following. All right, so how easy is it to get out of those contracts? Well, it really depends on the seller, whether it is a builder or an individual. But here's the point. They do not have to let you out of the contract. They don't. They can fight it. You can go to them, or you can have your agent go back to them and say, hey, my client wants out of the deal. I think at the very least, you risk losing or forfeiting your earnest money or any deposit that you have put down. If you're doing new construction and you've put down $5,000 in earnest money and then you try to break the deal, unless there was a contingency, such as an appraisal contingency or an inspection contingency, odds are they are going to fight to keep your deposit and your earnest money, and odds are that they're going to win because you are the one looking to break the contract and walk away. So that's a thing that I tell every client I have. Remember, before you sign this, you are committing. This is a legally binding document. And if you sign it, it is not something you can simply walk away from. So keep that in mind. So how can you avoid getting in this situation in the first place? Well, to me, the most simple thing is before you buy, make sure this is the home you want. Make sure that you can afford it. Make sure that your present situation is not going to change, and you're not going to get a job transfer. Your marriage isn't shaky. Before you sign on the dotted line, make sure, number one, you're in a position to buy this house. Number two, it is indeed a house you want to buy. All right. I tell every one of my clients, you got to go into this with your eyes wide open. All right, because again, you are signing a legally binding document. So when you go in and look at a house, make sure that this is the house for you. Do not buy out of fear. Do not buy out of desperation. I know that sometimes that can't be helped. But eyes wide open, understand what you're getting yourself into, and ask yourself, am I going to be happy in this home a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now? All right? You're not going to back out if you are sincerely in love with that home and you sincerely want to buy the home. So never buy out of desperation. Never buy out of FOMO. Do your homework on the home. All right, go in and don't just pop in, do a 10-minute visit, and then want to put in an offer. All right, drive around the neighborhood. You go back and see that house maybe more than once. Make sure it is a home that you want to buy. Make sure it's a home that you can afford. All right, so I think that has to do with a lot of the reasons people are backing out of contracts is they did not take the time to assess whether this was indeed the right home for them. And again, remember, you have signed a legal agreement to buy this home, and they do not have to let you out just because you change your mind. So how to avoid it? go in with your eyes wide open, spend some time looking at this home. Don't just walk through quickly and say, we got to buy this one because it's the only one in the Madison school district. Don't buy it because you don't think you're going to be able to buy anything else. Do your homework, and remember, a contract is a contract, okay? So if you do want out, what is the process? Well, if you are working with someone like me, a real estate agent, you're going to call up your agent and ruin their day. You really are. You just need to call them up and say, I'm got this is my reasoning. I don't want to go through with this contract. Can you get me out of this contract? That agent is then going to contact the selling agent or the builder and say, my client has had a change of heart. They really would like to be released from this contract. Well, they may say, okay, that's great, but they're going to forfeit their earnest money and their deposit. And honestly, guys, they're within their right to keep that money because you are breaking the contract with them. So this is just a routine of business when you break a contract for no good reason other than your feet are cold, or whatever the reason may be. They are within their rights to keep that earnest money. So just remember that. Okay, before you try to break the contract, if you've put down $5,000, odds are you are going to forfeit that $5,000. All right, so the one way around that is if you're buying an existing home, always have your agent put in the provisions that the offer has contingencies. It's contingent on the home appraising. It's contingent on an inspection not revealing costly repairs, etc. So your realtor, if they're worth their salt, can do things beforehand, before the contract is signed, if it's an existing single-family home that will protect your earnest money. If you're dealing with a builder, there's really not a hell of a lot your agent can do because builders do not accept contracts that are full of contingencies. Now, what we've seen in this market, I don't know, past 6 months or so when the market was really on fire, a lot of builders got it through their head that they really didn't need us in real estate agents, that all they had to do was put the home on the market and buyers would flock to them. And there was a lot of stink going on, a lot of BS happening here locally between agents and builders who really just kind of pushed the realtors out of the equation. Well, what's happening now that the market is softening to somewhat, builders are now coming back around to us realtors and courting us once again. All right. So, if your realtor has a good relationship with the builder, he may be able to get you out of it. 6 months ago, builders would have gladly given you back your earnest money because they could have put the home on the market and raised the price. All right. Now, things are softening. Once a builder has you under contract, they want to keep you under contract. So, again, it comes down to who you're buying the home from. And again, it doesn't matter if it's a builder or an individual, odds are you are going to forfeit your earnest money. Okay, so have a valid reason and not just cold feet. All right, cold feet is not a legal thing. Trust me, if it was, the courts would be a hell of a lot less crowded. But have a reason or a contingency to get out of the contract and get your earnest money back. But at the end of the day, this is what you have to remember. They do not have to let you out of the contract. You sign the contract, everybody's operating with goodwill. They do not have to let you out of the contract. Now, that question becomes, can they force you to buy a home? Odds are they can't. If you attempt to get out of the contract and the seller or the builder sues you for breach of contract, they could win monetary damages, and yes, you could be ordered to buy a home you didn't want to buy in the first place. All right, so keep all that in mind before you put yourself in this kind of situation where you are under contract to purchase a home and you change your mind for whatever reason. At the very minimum, be ready to forfeit your earnest money. At the very maximum, you might want to be ready to call an attorney to help get you out of this contract. And even then, you may end up paying a bonus to them. We've seen this happen with individual sellers where the buyer changed their mind and they had to buy their way out of a contract. Okay, we've seen this happen. One deal in particular, I don't recall the numbers, but I don't think it was a very expensive house. The buyer wanted out. Literally, they were almost to the closing table. They were going to close within the week. The buyer changed his mind, and the only way he was let out of the contract was to pay the seller a $5,000 fee to do so. Seller was within his legal right to ask for that, and the buyer, while he did not want to pay that money, eventually did, because the alternative was the seller was not going to let him out of the contract, and it was going to get ugly. All right, so there you go. People canceling contracts, it's nothing new. We're seeing more en masse, I think, simply because of the economy, the situation, the interest rates, etc. But again, if you are a home buyer, before you sign on the dotted line, make sure you are 1,000% committed to buying this property. And if you're a seller, keep in mind, just because a buyer wants out of the contract does not mean you have to let them out without enforcing some kind of penalty. All right. Hopefully, guys, that was helpful. It's just a very volatile market. We've got a lot going on, and I'll do my best to keep you apprised of it. But hey, once again, if we can do anything for you when it comes to real estate here in North Alabama, whether you're moving here for work, school, retirement, just moving here for the heck of it, or if you're already here and you need the help of a great real estate team, Revolved Realty is here for you. Again, we've got 85 agents ready to go to work for you, ready to make sure that you are buying the perfect house. And hopefully, if you get cold feet, we have feet warmers that we can bring over and drop off. So, all right, guys, that's it. Hey, I'll see you on the next video. Until then, have a great day.